Hi there, it's January 11th, 2024. Welcome to episode 305 of Rook. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Salam dostan aziz, durud bar shoma. Hope you are doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. We have a big announcement on today's show, a big announcement in a few moments. But first, a couple of days ago, a friend of mine sent me a video clip of an athlete, or I suppose some kind of daredevil gymnast type, doing a backflip with no net atop a ledge perched above a cliff that stretched way down into a gorge below. It was one of those heart-stopping feats to witness. The backflip was accomplished, the person did a fist bump, and many of us on the internet now watch it on our little screens and gasp and nod in appreciation before potentially sharing the clip with someone else. So this little 20-second video has millions of views. It's a good example of what we today call going viral. And it has every reason to get attention. It's an interesting or surprising or extraordinary sample of human behavior caught on camera. According to Collins, the official definition of this kind of digital virality is the following. If a video, image, or story goes viral, it spreads quickly and widely on the internet through social media and email. You know that part. The Cambridge Dictionary definition adds the following. There's no surefire way to make a given video go viral, even if it features a celebrity. And that's the thing about going viral. There's a supposition that it almost always involves a stroke of luck. The idea is that since we cannot exactly explain digital virality with scientific precision, it is really just the good fortune of those who strike gold. Indeed, a viral video, inasmuch as it is intended to be for an audience, can benefit the creator or the subject and turn them into global stars overnight. And since it's a new area of expertise, it surely cannot require that much education, right? Cyberspace is a gamble, right? Some win, some lose. The algorithms randomly create stars, right? But while there can be videos of unexpected events or reactions that garner millions of views, if you dig a little deeper, it turns out that the idea of going viral being only about luck in the internet lottery is actually a fallacy. In fact, we find out that those who experience massive success in cyberspace and social media with viral videos have gotten there through the same kind of effort, time, practice, learning, talent, fortitude that it takes that athlete to perform the perfect backflip over a cliff in the first place, or that technical engineer who was the genius that invented the camera that is capturing the moment. My guests today are two young-ish Iranians who have both experienced the thrill and widespread recognition of viral videos, and who both put a lot of methodology and practice into doing what they do. Pouya Hashimi's funny short video about pretending to pass a substance to a famous actress now has 84 million views, but it was no coincidence. It took him a few days to develop this 20-second short clip. And smart, idea-laden videos are what Pouya does, and he works at this meticulously. Neema Nazeri's very funny Persian Uber driver Instagram video from about a month ago already has 1.2 million views. And that's no surprise because Neema is now devoting a great deal of his days to dreaming up, planning, and performing this kind of creative content. Pouya joins us from California in a few minutes, Neema from Australia. Going viral, at least in a positive way, can be a happy accident, but more often than not, it takes the kind of expertise that catapults anyone in any career to the top of the game. Two of the best in the diaspora at online content join me today. All right, really good to have you with us. This is episode 305. Let's get started. This is Rook. From the Rook studio, episode 305. Hi, Raha June.
Hello.
There will be no roundtable today.
No, unfortunately not.
Partly because we've got two amazing guests coming up, but also because Pega, also known as Smart Pega, also known as Smart Pega Ganji, SPG, is sick.
Unfortunately, everybody's sick these days.
Everyone is sick.
Everyone is sick. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, it sounds like metaphorically, everyone is sick, but also a lot of people are sick.
Yeah.
The new COVID, the flu.
My God, don't even, I'm so worried about that.
Are you?
If I catch COVID one more time,
How many
I think
times
I'm
have you
gonna
had
die.
COVID?
2 times, and then count the vaccination as well, because I got really sick after both vaccinations.
When you say if you catch COVID another time, I'm going to die, you mean that as an extreme overstatement of...
We never know. Let's see.
You don't mean you're actually going to die?
I don't know.
That would be that would suck, because then we would have to postpone the roundtable again.
Is that what you're sad about?
Yes, that's what my mind goes to.
Great.
God forbid. Khoda nakone. That,
now I know what my role is in this life.
If Raha dies. No. Zabunet lol.
Zabunam lol.
Zabunam lol. Sorry. Zabunam gaz begidam. Yeah. So anyway, get better, Pega. And we miss you. Jayet Khali. That's right. Coming up, Pouya Hashemi, Neema Nazeri. First of all, Pouya, I'm going to tell him this as soon as we start the interview, but I can't get enough of this video. I first saw him, somebody shared one of his videos. It wasn't that long ago. It was this year, like maybe a year ago or something, of him doing he was pretending to be somebody who works at a Persian restaurant. And when you come and take out food and they put it in a bag.
That's actually the first video of him that I saw.
You saw it too? And
yeah.
I think maybe for Persians this one really, because he's got some videos that have millions and millions of views. This one has a couple million, but basically the guy's taking the bag and really keeps tying it tighter and tighter really aggressively, so that you get it home and you're just trying to get at your kubi there and you have to figure out how to open the bag. And it's so true.
They all do that.
And it's so funny to watch this. Like I couldn't stop laughing every time I see, and because it's this simple observation that, he's turned into this video that makes sense that it's gone viral because so many of us relate to it. So Pouya Hashemi is an interesting guy because we know him for these funny videos. Turns out he only started making these kind of videos in the last since COVID, in the last 3 or 4. Like he's not a comedian. Well, I guess he is now, but he hasn't been a comedian. This hasn't been his performative sort of career. He's a business guy, an entrepreneur, a tech guy. He created this thing called Rapid Screen during COVID for COVID testing.
Interesting.
Yeah, like he's an Iranian business guy. Got a business degree or something, who I know he was doing magic tricks as a kid or something, but I guess he's suddenly found his gig as another gig, at least. I mean, but he's doing really well at it, at doing these funny videos, these observational videos.
Yeah, I think it's a form of art. I think at least for the past few years that TikTok and Instagram have become so mainstream, this new form of art and creativity has come up, which is like finding ways to create short videos or short content that are catchy. And
some of it is bullshit and some of it is lucky, but most of it isn't. And that's the point I was trying to make in my little opening there, that and I've been guilty of this. Whenever something's new, we think, oh, well, this is, not. It reminds me of when people started to use like drum machines, like computers and music. And it was kind of like, well, that's not real music, that doesn't. And then you realize, no, it actually takes an art to create these machines to create a different kind of music. And so similarly, people who are making these videos that are going viral, some of them might be lucky, but for the most part, they're basically creating the blueprint for a new talent. Like like the talent to create music for TikTok really is different from creating music for a 16-song album.
It really is. And it's so fast paced. And most of these influencers, they have to spend so much time on deciding, like on planning for it, because part of staying famous or staying Insta famous or staying an influencer is having enough content to share with your audience, not to go down on those algorithms that you just mentioned. So it is a real job. I think many people just try to say, being an influencer is not much like of a job, but I think it's the opposite. They have to work really hard. They have to create content constantly and come up with creative ideas.
Well, because it feels like sometimes it's just hot people who are able to take pictures of themselves and get millions of views.
That happens on
which is also true. But even that, that's a tough gig.
It is.
Knowing how to pose for 8 hours a day in one pose, or putting up with all of that, and having to scrutinize, being scrutinized for the way you look constantly, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So Pouya Hashemi joining us in a few moments from California, and then Neema Nazeri.
He's so fun.
He's great, and he's a Toronto guy.
Yeah.
Neema, right? So check this out. Neema has picked up in the last couple of weeks and moved to Australia.
News.
Yeah, well, yeah. I reached out to him.
Why?
Why did I reach out to him?
No.
Oh.
Why did he move?
Well, that's why I'm going to ask him. I mean, we're going to check in. I actually wanted to get him back in the studio, or to be part of this new announcement that we're about to make. Thinking that he's in Toronto, and so I reached out to him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Yeah, hey, I'm in Melbourne." And we moved here. He and his brother manages him. So Neema will join us from Melbourne, Australia, to explain what the hell he's doing in wonderful. Well, it's summer.
I'm so curious to know why he went, and I'm curious to know if he's seen any crocodiles and snakes. And
this is weird. He's in a big city. It's like somebody saying they went to Canada. I'm curious if they've seen any
igloos. I hear from everyone that in Australia you see like giant spiders or snakes or
in downtown Melbourne.
Everywhere. You see them everywhere.
I don't think
apparently.
so. Oh. We've
Especially
just lost
spiders.
our Australian audience. We have a lot of people who listen to us in Australia, mostly Sydney.
Why would we lose them?
Because they're like, what are these people talking about? They think that there's
What if
crocodiles
I'm right?
walking down the street in Melbourne.
That's not what I said. And what if I'm right?
Well, that is exactly what you said. So, first of all, it's summer in Australia. Let that sink in as you look out the window in Toronto today.
Well, actually, I like this.
With your ski pants on. You're wearing ski pants. Can I explain how Iranian Roqe is? It's like 2-3 degrees. It's not even cold outside, and it's raining, and you've got ski pants on.
This guy is being really mean to me.
Well, are you wearing ski pants?
I'm not now. No.
Oh,
Look, that's why it's not making.
You took the ski pants off. Oh, you came in wearing ski pants
because
you had to brave the +3 rain out there.
It would have made a lot of noise, but no. I walked my dogs really early in the morning, and I was going to have a really early morning this morning, and
Your Iranian rescue dogs.
I do.
I love that.
I do, and I just didn't feel like changing, so I was like, whatever. I'm gonna go to work, and
I need my ski outfit on because it's +3 degrees in Toronto.
When it was snowing. First of all,
but it is the thing about Toronto is, and I will always defend, and I love Toronto. It's my city, but it really is gray for a few months of the year. Like that's the thing. It's not necessarily cold.
No.
It's not about it being cold. It's about it being gray.
Yeah.
And I just imagine being in Australia right now.
Why do you have to do this to me?
Sun. Well, you asked why would Neema Nazeri go to Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
but
Neema joining
us
on
winter, right? Sorry. They do have winter. In
yes,
the summer.
they have winter.
They have winter, so
they have winter.
That couldn't be.
And they don't have, and there are no crocodiles in the condo in Melbourne. Roqe.
What if there are?
Well, dear Australians, please get in touch with us and let us know the proximity of the crocodiles.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say kangaroos, but you avoided the stereotype.
I know
you went straight to the facts. The crocodiles are walking down the street in Sydney.
Because I'm scared of crocodiles and snakes, not kangaroos. I don't mind them.
We have a big announcement.
Mm-hmm.
This is a pretty big announcement.
It is. It really
Before
is.
we get to the show, I wish Pega was here. We've been talking about making this big announcement now. Before we get to our guests, well, I mean, I don't know.
Do you want me to give you drum rolls?
Yes, can you? That's pretty good. There's actually my drums are over there.
I know. You want me?
Do you know how to play drums?
Yeah.
You do?
Just a little.
Oh.
But I'll just do it here.
Okay, thank you.
Are you ready?
Yes, go. Big announcement. Thank you, Raha. Rook Live, the first Rook Live ever,
Woohoo!
which means we are doing Rook, the sound of one person saying woohoo in the studio. We are doing Rook live in front of an audience.
Yes.
At the Theatre Aurora in scenic Aurora, Ontario, Canada, which is a lovely place just north of Toronto. So basically the greater Toronto area. Our first time doing Rook in front of an audience in a theater, Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, 7 p.m. Tickets available as of this moment.
Yes.
Raha.
Yes. Right now.
Right now.
Go on Eventbrite right now.
Go on.
type-
That's what they have to do.
Yeah,
They have to go on Eventbrite and put in
Yes.
ROQE, Rook,
Yeah,
right?
Rook Live or live talk show, live interview. Rook Live is what to search for.
If you really, if you just put live talk show, it'll come up. Our thing will come up.
Yeah, and the city is important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aurora.
Aurora, Toronto.
So, people are already confused. Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite and type in Rook or Rook Live, or even easier, go to our website, rookmedia.com. And on the front page there, we've got the link. Rook Live in front of an audience. Now, let me tell you something. We just put up the limited tickets we put up. It's not a huge theater. But we have not announced the lineup yet. I'm not announcing the lineup right now. You know what the lineup is.
Yes, exciting.
Once people hear the lineup, they will be rushing to buy the tickets.
Yes.
So I would say, if you're hearing this now, if you're amongst those people who, I love these people. There's a certain crowd that listens to our podcast as soon as it goes up. Podcasts, like, normally people listen to it over the next few days.
Yeah.
Some people are a little behind, so maybe they're listening to the episode from 3 weeks ago right now, whatever. There's a crowd that as soon as we see it in the analytics, as soon as we put the podcast up, they're listening. Those people right now, if you're in the GTA or want to fly here or walk here, drive here, careful of the crocodiles, you should get tickets for this right now before we announce the lineup, which we'll do beginning of next week.
Yes, I think it's just a great opportunity for people to be part of a live podcast, because it doesn't happen that often, especially here in our city.
We're going to have 4 guests. We're going to have a round table. We're going to have a performance, two live performances, and we're going to have a little wine and cheese reception as well.
Yeah.
So where you can see the Rook team and see. So Wednesday, February 7th, Theatre Aurora, our first time doing a Rook Live, first time making it public. We hope to see you there, right?
Yes.
You'll be there. Will you be wearing your ski pants? A lot of folks, those who listen to the podcast, first up, they're going to be wondering.
No, but
will they see the ski pants?
no, I will wear something really interesting though.
Oh,
So
okay.
come to see what I wear.
Not the way I thought we were selling the show, but also something of interest. We're coming to you on rookmedia.com. It is there that you can link to all of our platforms and our link for tickets to Rook Live. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and CastBox. Hey, if you want to see some visuals with Rook, switch over to YouTube right now. And if you like your Rook descriptions and bulletins in English and in Persian, check us out on Telegram. Also, you can press the support us button at rookmedia.com to become a Rook member on Patreon. I was and support us that way. I was gonna say, talking about, speaking of YouTube, we put up video clips on YouTube Shorts, a few of them, and on Instagram and Telegram, but a few clips from last week had some virality. Speaking of going viral, yes, we had Arash Sobhani here, and there's particularly a clip about talking about how we in Iranian culture and Persian culture are not always telling the truth to each other. And that really touched a nerve.
Yeah.
It got a lot of attention. It got a lot of comments, and I think we need to follow that up at some point. Do some kind of episode or roundtable just on that.
I totally agree.
Because some of the comments were really, really interesting. Some profound. Some disagreed with what Arash and I had to say, which was also good, in terms of discussion. But that notion of not being able to trust each other as Iranians, that notion of this culturally embedded practice of lying to each other on all kinds of levels, and how that affects our ability to unify and create change for Iran from outside of Iran or whatever, help in any way, really, really kind of touched a nerve.
Yeah.
If you want to see those, you can go to Rook Media. That's our YouTube handle, Rook Media, youtube.com/Rook Media. Or go to our website and link to any of our platforms, or our Instagram, etc. Thank you, Raha.
Thank you, Jian.
See you
Soon.
at the end of this show. and also next week, and also February 7th. Where? Theater Aurora.
Theater Aurora.
You know what's crazy to me is we're doing this Rook show in Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a teenager, I hated Aurora.
Why? Did you live there?
No. We moved to Canada.
Sorry.
We moved to Canada, and we lived in Thornhill.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But I went to Aurora twice to take my driver's license. To get my driver's license.
Desert.
And it kind of was. There was just a place to get your driver's license.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it twice.
Oh, that's why.
I failed twice in Aurora.
Well, you have your license
I think
now.
I got it the third time.
You have your license now, so get over it, Jian.
I am over it. I'm excited about the Theater Aurora. Also, Aurora was very not diverse at that point. Let's just put it that way. I was like a little punkish Persian suburban kid with orange hair.
Orange hair?
Yes. I remember one of the times, there's a very tragic story, which I won't get into, but I wrote about it in my book. The first time I lost my license, I failed my license. I was up there because I was like a alternative, punk. I fancied myself, new wave, all of that. And I guess I was 16, and I went up there with pointy black boots and very tightly tapered black pants and spiky orange hair. Not something the local rockers really appreciated. Yeah, which they let me know about in a very kind of tragic ways. And I lost and I failed my license. Yeah.
Well,
you're
going to have a great success in Theater Aurora now.
Theater Aurora.
So I feel like that's all going to wash
I hope
that
this
away.
really changes my experiences in Aurora. No, since then, Aurora's changed a lot. I've changed a lot. It's a wonderful place,
Let's do something,
It's
though.
so weird to go to Aurora and see like a Persian nail salon.
Why? Why?
Well, why? Because I'm telling you, when I was growing up here, it just wasn't people, the OG Iranians who came here, before the revolution or slightly after the revolution, 70s, 80s, 90s. They know that the Greater Toronto area, that is now the epicenter of all things Iranian in the diaspora, it was tumbleweeds, as you say, when it comes to finding Iranians here.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a community. And it wasn't until really the early 2000s, I would cite 2003, when the BAM earthquake happened. Remember the earthquake in BAM,
totally.
Iran? We had a big show here, a fundraiser, which, so this is 21 years ago now.
I was in Iran back then.
You were still in Iran. Myself and Nazanin Afshinjam hosted it. And Baba Kamini was one of the people playing at it, actually, and it was the first time the sort of community crystallized, like came together in one place. We were all in a theater together.
And how many were you? Like 100?
No, that was a pretty big. No, it was. We'd laugh at like a fundraiser for the people of BAM.
No, I'm sorry.
This is
the
lack of respect for the fundraisers.
No,
I know.
You're making me look really bad.
No,
that's not true,
I don't
guys.
mean to do that.
No,
it was actually it was. I can't remember. I think it was at what's now the Meridian.
Meridian?
I think now
now it's called the
North
Meridian.
York
Yeah,
Center for whatever it is. So it's there was like a few hundred people.
Yeah.
But that was the first time. So it's not that long ago, really. Where the Iranian community really came together. Before that, like when I was at York, there was an Iranian Students Association. It was like 20 people. It wasn't, there just wasn't a lot. Your eyes are glazing over. You're like, when's Grandpa going to finish the stories? All right. Thank you Raha.
I want to dare you to something though.
Mm-hmm.
How about this
Ski
time
pants?
when you're theater Aurora?
Yes.
How about you do the same look that you did back then? Orange hair, spiky.
I still have. It's basically still the way I dress.
So
So
then
it's not that much of a stretch.
come to the show
Just have
to
to
see
spike
what
up my
Jian
hair.
wears.
Yeah.
Come to the show to see what he wears.
Thank you, Raha Jun. Let's get to our first guest. He's waiting there in California. My first guest today is an Iranian-American rising social media star. Pouya Hashemi is a dynamic guy based in Newport Beach, California, who blends creativity and entrepreneurship in all that he does, it seems. As a digital content creator and a stand-up comedian, Pouya has carved out an increasingly powerful niche for himself with millions of views on Instagram. You've likely seen some of his very well-produced clips based on a funny idea or a slice of life that he exploits for comedic effect. But Pouya is also overachiever, Persian alert, a successful business person. He's a graduate in business marketing from California State University, Fullerton, and the founder of Spin Touch Inc., a company that specializes in interactive advertising services. He's also the founder of the SIP Awards, a unique spirits competition that gives smaller brands a spotlight. It was actually by chance that Pouya's journey took a turn when he gained public attention for sharing funny videos on TikTok and Instagram during the COVID pandemic. You can find Pouya on Instagram at Hey Pouya. But first, right now, Pouya Hashemi joins me from Orange County, California today. Hello, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a great intro. I love it.
You're welcome to use it. You can plagiarize it. You can actually play it back at your events.
I think I need to. Yeah. That's one of the better ones.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. You know, I first encountered you. I told you this in a phone call that we had, that a friend of mine shared a video of yours a few months ago. It was the first time I'd seen you, or maybe it was a year ago or something. And I want to actually describe it to people. I think most people listening probably have seen a video of yours, even if they don't know it. They'll be oh, that guy, you know. But this one in particular was, you were sending up the idea of going to a Persian restaurant for takeout food. And you're in this video, you play the guy from the restaurant who is packing the bag. And it's a plastic bag, and the guy packing the bag, you play by you, closes it and then retightens it and retightens it and retightens it like over and over again. And it rang so true from my experience going to Persian restaurants and takeout. Like, you get the thing home and you have to fucking figure out how to open the thing, you know. And I thought it was genius. I mean, it's got millions of views or whatever it has, but it occurred to me, how do you even get it's one idea, but it's such a brilliant idea that clearly resonated with a lot of people. Let's start by you telling me how you came up with that one.
Yeah, like most ideas, I mean, I'm kind of just going through my feed, and my feed is obviously the algorithm kind of brings you content that you like, and my feed is just filled with clips like that, where it's just, really short, funny videos of different creators, and I'll find a video that kind of resembles that. It may have not been exactly that, but I'll kind of take my own twist to it. I think the one I saw was from another creator that was doing it more for Chinese restaurants. And I figured, Persian restaurants are very similar, and I just ordered takeout, and similarly, they double bag it, they tighten it, and then there's a fine bag inside. It's like they're protecting you from the radiation inside or something.
I don't even know why I don't even know why they do that. I mean, it's and as you do it in the video, they're really aggressive about it too. It's like, I gotta tighten this thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I what's great is when you do a video, you don't always have the answers to different things, but the comments will kind of answer your questions. So there was a lot of things that it was to keep the kebab smell, the kebab smell inside, or the soups from spilling, or all these different things. And but yeah, that was one of the videos that are very simple, fairly simple to create. It still took a little bit of time, but it's surprising. Sometimes the simplest videos do the best, whereas other ones that I've spent hours and hours and weeks editing, don't do as well, but I'm proud of them. But it's just you never know. You never know what will resonate with people, what people will share. But yeah, it's just
Well,
kind of.
I want to come to what resonates and what doesn't, and what your process is. But it's interesting, having seen that being my introduction to you. I would just assume in that moment, this guy's a comedian who's been doing this for years. It was a shock to me that you actually haven't been making videos like this for years. You only started during COVID, is that right?
Yeah, I, I was I was not doing these kind of videos. I was doing what most people would do on Instagram, was just putting up fancy pictures in front of fancy buildings or whatnot. And I wanted to do kind of videos like this, but I was a little bit more reserved because I had two companies, and I was working with a lot of, medium to larger companies, some Fortune 500 companies, some government contracts. And I felt like, yeah, since I was the face of the company, I didn't want to put that kind of image out there. It might affect something, or at the very least, it might impact my relationship with my employees, my contractors, my vendors. They might not take me seriously. And then when COVID hit, it was our business was completely halted. Both businesses kind of relied on, one was really event based, and the other one was, yeah, trade shows. So both were kind of really, for the first couple months, it was completely shut down. Nobody was doing anything. I had all the free time in the world, and I realized, I'm gonna probably lose my businesses. The world is coming to an end. Might as well do this bucket list thing of making stupid videos and silly, funny videos that I enjoy making, and seeing where it goes. And luckily, the world didn't end. My businesses didn't fail, and the videos kind of started to take off, and I enjoyed it. And it didn't really impact. It didn't have the impact that I thought it was going to have in terms of the negative uh, impact with my customers didn't really see it. I mean, they're not looking that deep into someone. And then my employees kind of liked it. They thought it was funny. They enjoyed it. They were laughing about them. They shared it with other family and friends, and they were kind of big fans on their own. But you always, I think people in general always talk themselves out of things that they want to do, because of the negative feelings that they might receive from people. But at the end of the day,
Or
it's
from internet trolls. I mean, it's always scary putting yourself out there on the internet in general, right?
true,
Yeah.
true. And I wasn't necessarily, I was more worried about my inner circle than initially, because you really don't, I guess you don't face the internet trolls until you really face them. You really don't know. Maybe now it's kind of common, but yeah, I get that a lot, and that's a whole nother subject. But it was just like anything, I think everyone, that's one of the fears you have. What will people think if I do this? But most are more worried about their own life, than to kind of
Part
put
part
that. Yeah.
part of what must be interesting for you is you're not. I mean, I say this with respect because you're not old either, but you're not super young. I mean, you're not like a teenage TikTok influencer, and this isn't what you've been doing. We've had, for example, someone like Peter Bonifaz. I'm sure he's out there in California. He's a very funny guy who makes Persian videos, but he's a comedian. He's an actor. He's been doing this for years. So it's not as much of a surprise for him. Is it odd for you that people know you for this now?
Yeah, now it's not so much. Maybe a year ago, yeah, it was a little. It was. I mean, I kind of have a few different uh, reasons why someone would know me, whether it's the business, whether it's this. Now it's becoming more of this. Like, strangers will just, out of the blue, kind of first stare at me for a weird minute. I think, do I owe this guy money or something? Or why is this beautiful woman, like, looking at me like that, like that's not normal. What's going on? And then they're like, "Oh, hey, are you on Instagram?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on Instagram." And then they go through the thing, and I'm like, "Oh, we're a big fan. We share this." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I do that, and I do have a lot of followers." I completely sometimes, it's hard to realize that. Like I was flying in the airport, and this Persian woman was like looking at me from a distance, and then she came up and she was all excited, but it's for good reasons, right? And then that inspires me to, and as soon as I get that, that's just really inspiring to do more videos because they're telling me how it's impacted their life, and or they're I'm one of their favorite creators, or I mean, I get really crazy stories on my DM, but when I get that, it's like, oh, I got to make it right there at that airport. I remember because I had a long wait for the flight. I sat there and made a funny video right there because I was like, it was just so much dopamine, so much excitement. I'm
Who
like,
who
wow,
knew
I
who
got
knew
to
that
just
beautiful people coming up to you telling you they love you would inspire you to want to do more? I mean, it's a shock, really. By the way, when you talk about being at the airport, there are a disproportionate number of videos that you make that have to do with being on or experiencing something to do with a plane. Are you some kind of a frequent flyer? Is it why are you so obsessed with plane? I mean, it's great. It's because they're usually circumstances again that we can all relate to, the headrest or somebody in first class having sex or whatever it is. But you seem quite interested in the culture of the plane, the being inside a plane.
Well, yeah, a couple of reasons. It's hard for me to sleep on a plane. And two, yeah, I have a lot of weird experiences on planes, and I feel like doing it on a plane too gets me out of my bubble of doing things at home for these videos. It's a lot more intimidating to do something on a plane because you see this, middle-aged guy. I guess I'm middle-aged, with his phone and just like doing weird shit. You don't even know what he's doing, and
You don't clear it. You don't clear it with the people around you first. Hey, listen, I'm an
no,
influencer. I'm
I
making a video.
should.
Yeah, all right.
I don't. A couple times I saw some really interesting. I see it after the fact. I saw some really interesting reactions, or like people looking at the camera because yeah, I don't see the camera all the time, and I'll see their like eyes just like they're just so. What the hell is that guy doing? And that's something I would do if I saw someone doing that on a plane. I would make fun of them,
Right,
but who cares?
right.
It's hard at first, and then once you get over that that hump, I feel like you get a little bit more confidence to do it more and more out in the open, and whatever. Life is short, and as long as you're doing it for good reasons.
I said I was going to ask you about some of the process stuff later, but while we're here talking about being on the plane, I mean, are you coming up with an idea in the moment? Is it that you're sitting on the plane and you go, oh, I got to do something about these headrests because I'm feeling one behind me right now? Or is it that you go onto the plane with a sense of what you might be recording that day?
Both. I have a lot of saved videos from like plane fights and different things. Every time I'm like on my feed and I see a video, I'll organize it and I'll save it and I'll categorize like plane. I have a special section just for plane videos. Like anything that's weird on a plane, I'll save it, and then I just have to kind of come up with a funny reaction to it so I can showcase that. But yeah, it's either another creator that's done something similar, or it'll be a video like I'm thinking about the next time I'm on a flight, I'll probably do something about that. You probably heard it, the plane, the window that just blew out
Yeah,
on
yeah.
an Alaska flight,
Yeah, the Boeing. Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone got footage of that. So something like that. I don't know if I could do that on a plane because my idea would be like to have a blow dryer like messing up my hair and like losing stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's both. But I obviously have to kind of prepare a little bit because you don't have Wi-Fi. or I do a lot of the editing on a plane too. Just somewhere where I'm not being distracted and I can spend a few hours making making or editing videos.
You've said that you were another interesting thing to learn about you, having watched you and thinking, well, this guy's he's handsome, he's confident, he's got charisma. You said that you were quite shy about being on camera before these last few years and making these videos. Were you an outgoing kid when you were growing up in Iran?
Well, in Iran, I was only like I think 5 or 6 when I came to America, so I don't remember much of it other than like the start of the U.S. Iraq war. But yeah, I don't I would imagine I was pretty shy. From kind of the videos that I've seen from my parents, I wasn't very talk. I was talkative with them, but not with strangers. Um, yeah, and then in middle school, I was pretty shy. Junior high, pretty shy, and then in high school, I really wanted to kind of I guess I was tired of it because in high school, as you know, everyone has their cliques and they have their groups of people that they relate with. The Persians with their BMWs, and they were like wearing Armani.
And you
I
weren't
didn't
part of that
really,
group? You weren't part of
I
the.
was not.
Yeah.
I didn't really fit into that group with a bunch of cologne on. So that was, yeah, it was just like what Clueless. It was exactly like Clueless in
Right.
my high school.
Right.
And then, the cool kids with football and the hot cheerleaders, I wasn't in that group either. So I was with like people that would accept everyone, like the chess people, the chess club, I
Right.
was in cross country for a little bit,
Running, cross country
just
running, you
because,
mean?
yeah, because
Yeah.
I wasn't good in sports. Every sport has a tryout, right? Like basketball, baseball, and I didn't make the cuts. And cross country was really the one that you didn't have to, you just had to sign up and you're in.
Right.
And I realized I'm not very fast. I ran like a 7.5 minute mile and I was always last. It was like it was just horrible. So I was just with them because that was the last group. And then I decided, okay, I need to like branch off. I need friends. And then at that moment, David Blaine was really big.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
doing magic on ABC, and I was watching his videos and trying to replicate his magic and read some magic books and for a few months, just doing it in the mirror, just with my sister and trying to practice over and over. And then one day I got the confidence to start doing some magic for people in lunch, and I was yeah, everything kind of changed from there.
What was
Everyone,
sorry, so two steps back. I want to come to the
yeah.
magic, but so when you're a kid, either a little kid in Iran or when you guys first come to America, it sounds like your family and friends wouldn't expect like wouldn't all be going, oh, Puya, this guy's the class clown, he's going to be
Oh,
for
not at
sure,
all.
he's going to be making funny videos 40 20 years from now and entertaining the world. They wouldn't have anticipated that.
Not at all. They were hoping, yeah, maybe a doctor or a lawyer, typical.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. And
yeah.
then the magic, so the magic is your kind of entree into performing. And I don't even know. I mean, to suspend disbelief, I like to think that magicians obviously have some particular sixth sense or something like that. But I mean, if you decide you want to do magic, what do you just decide to start learning tricks? Is that what was the first magic trick you learned?
Well, it was a few card tricks, and then it's a matter of just like any art form, you just have to kind of be dedicated to it and practice, and then have the confidence to perform it. Just like anything, singing or dancing or anything, it's the special skill kind of starts to develop as long as you have the passion for it and the interest for it. And I got more and more interested as I performed. And I became like, I was well known. And at that moment, I think it was like sophomore year, I was like really well known for my magic. Even seniors would come up to me and like, oh, you got to do a magic trick Oh,
Do you
every
remember
day.
what the first? Do you remember the first time you did something that kids or other people that you wanted to impress were freaked out by? Were like, wow, this
I
is like,
do, yeah.
okay,
And it was like a monumental point. It was like because I didn't it was very hard for the building up the confidence to do it out in the open. And I was with a few friends, dorky, like chess club kind of friends, and we were sitting around, and then I saw a group of like I think they were like cheerleaders. And I'm like, and I was like all prepared. I've been prepared for like months, but I just didn't have the balls to do it. And I'm like, okay, watch this. I'm gonna go talk to them. And they're like, what? And I walked up to them and I asked them, pick a card in your mind. And then they pick a card. I don't remember. It's just a random card. And then I took out my deck, and the only card that was a different color was that one card. And that's all I did. And then I
wow.
put the deck away, and then I just walked away from them because I didn't have anything else. I didn't even know if they were impressed, or to me, it wasn't even that impressive because I knew how the trick worked. And I just walked away, and then they just ran after me and they were like, "How did you do that? Oh my God, that's amazing." And then they were like,
Wow.
yeah, it was that moment was like, holy shit.
The cheerleaders came running after you. Wow. Not even a
Yes.
metaphor, an actual situation. Well, look at you.
Yes.
Well,
And then yeah, that was the moment I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start practicing more magic. Yeah, and then they invited me to sit with their boyfriends, do magic for them. Then I got them interested. Yeah, everybody was
I gotta
like,
say
okay,
too,
cool.
it's like, I mean, thinking about it, even it's always hard to. I don't care what anybody says. It's hard to approach someone, especially in high school or something. You think somebody's cute to go up and talk to some pretty person or an attractive person that you're attracted to, whatever. Uh, Magic's a good one. Magic's a great way to break the ice, right? Because no one isn't interested in a card trick. There's nobody you could go up to, I would imagine, and say, pick a card that they would go, get away from me, you creep, or whatever. It's a great way to introduce yourself to someone because they want to see where the trick's going, no?
True. I would say, the amount of people I've done magic for, it's not no one. I would say one out of like 20 people dislikes magic. And that's amazing
Dislikes
odds. You can't,
magic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What?
And
What?
they'll be like either they think it's like black magic,
Hmm,
or more likely they think you're fucking with them.
hmm,
They think that it's like a scam, that there are those people, but it's very rare. It's like one out of 20. I'll take those odds. It's
right.
more rare than any other. Yeah, it's great. And when whatever, you don't, okay, you're not going to enjoy this.
So
Okay.
was being a magician as a career ever an option, or was the Persian DNA just not going to allow that in terms of the parental pressure, etc.?
Yeah, I was interested in that. I did. I was kind of I never performed in front of like a stage, and that's kind of where magic, I guess, will, if you really want to take it professionally. Back then there wasn't social media as big as it is now, and nobody was doing it other than really David Blaine was doing it on the street and filming it. Everybody else was kind of on stage performing in Vegas, so it was a little, yeah, I didn't pursue it as much. And then in college, I kind of stopped for some reason. I don't know if it was like figuring out is like, are people just interested in me just because of my magic? Do I have more in it to life? Because yeah, everybody would just ask me to do a trick. And I was like, okay, maybe I should just, and maybe I got busy with other things. Well, college was a lot of studying, a lot of work, but I don't know. I kind of put that away for my college years. I didn't do it as much, and that's probably why I didn't kind of graduate to the next
Do you
level of
still do
being a
magic
real
now?
magician.
Do you still do magic now, or
Oh yeah,
you do?
now I do it more. Yeah, I brought it kind of after college. I brought it back with. Yeah, I love magic. I'm not doing it in any form to make money from it. It's just, to entertain friends, family. And it was like, yeah, when I was growing up, my parents would like push me to do it with, and Persian Mehmooni's
Right, right,
parties.
right.
They would like, oh, Pouya, come do that magic trick for everybody.
Mom.
And
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, you always come out with your special talent or dancing
Right,
or
right. If it's
whatever
not
it is
doing
or
Baba
singing.
Karam, you have to do something. Yeah. So it's well,
Yeah.
that will actually be very handy. The magic trick kid, bring him to the party to Mahmouni.
Yeah, so
He
my parents
slays
were
at the
not
Mahmounis.
really against it. They didn't think like I'm gonna give up everything for the magic. They weren't like fully. They were excited about it. It's a talent that, Persian parents are always like looking for that edge for their kid to show off with other Persian parents, I feel. They're like, oh yeah, he does magic. Look at he's very skilled. He's yeah. So
You know, it's interesting because off the top or on the face of it, one doesn't necessarily know where the funny videos and the business acumen guy fit in, but they're both. The intersection seems to be partly about ideas. Like you're an ideas guy, and learning a bit about you, doing a little bit of research, or just hearing a couple of interviews that you've done. It seems like you really are the definition of an entrepreneur, somebody who, I mean, I guess you chose the business path and you went and did that at school, etc. But your thing has been to start businesses, to have ideas, come up with ideas, and start businesses. And now you've got this, or now, but in the last few years, this Spin Touch, which seems to be doing quite well. What have you learned about what it is? The magic, if you will, of creating a successful business?
I think just like anything, it's you have to actually do it. Everyone I've met, everyone has an idea, whether it's a business idea or it's a hobby that they want to pursue. Um, I mean, everyone has their kind of bucket list or their ideas or their $1 million thing, but it's very rare for people to actually take the next step and actually do it. Whether it's just the first initial steps or it's just excuses that they have. And I've had plenty to start, but it's yeah, both of the businesses I started, it came from an idea. It's an idea that probably as I told people, nobody really believed in it as much as I did. And then it was just a matter of going ahead and doing it, doing the work. It's just starting the first step and researching it, and then investing a little bit of money and throwing it in. But that's essentially it because an idea, and then what people normally do is they don't do their idea, someone else does it, and then they go, that Uber. I came up with that like
Right,
5 years
right.
before and blah blah blah. I'm like,
Well,
okay,
and so
cool.
what if it fails?
And it might, but uh, and many of my business ventures prior to those two did fail. But you kind of have to learn from them and then just not take it very hard. And it's hard at first, but I always start all of my ideas kind of or everything in very small fractional amounts. I don't just throw all of my investment into one. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not all of my eggs in one basket. You kind of, if you can do it in a phases and see there is something there, that's what I would recommend to do it in steps and get maybe people involved slowly, get money involved slowly, and get your time invested in it slowly, but not put everything in it at once.
You have the distinction. I don't know how one learns this. I guess somebody told you at some point, or maybe you really, it was news of some kind. But you seem to have the distinction of being one of the first people in America who got COVID, and then you created something called Rapid Screen. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I went to Hawaii in 2019, right in December, and then I got really sick, like more sick than I've ever been in my life, and that was before COVID was a thing. I think COVID started being discussed in maybe January, February, but I was really sick, and the entire trip I was just in my Airbnb by myself and just taking whatever I could. I went to the urgent care. They didn't know what it was. They didn't even prescribe me much. I couldn't even drink anything without extreme pain. And that took about like 3 days to recover, which is very unusual. I usually get over something in 3 days.
Mm.
Um, and then fast forward to when they started doing the screening tests for COVID, where you could actually see if you had the antibodies. That's when I tested positive for that. So I kind of put two and two together that I probably had it in December of 2019.
So it was you.
Um,
It was you that brought it to.
it was a trip to Hawaii, and I think it came from around there. And maybe I got it from the guy that came from China or something.
Right.
I don't know. But no, I mean, I stayed in my hotel the whole time. Could have been something on an airplane or something. But I documented a lot of it on my story at the time. I don't know if it's still up, but it was, yeah, at the time I had no idea what it was. But and then yeah, when I got back, COVID started to be a big thing. My businesses pretty much shut down. My sales guy wasn't doing much. I was just making videos at that point, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And at that time, I saw an opportunity to kind of leverage my technology business to providing these displays that can actually read body temperature at different locations, because one of the challenges was business had to stay closed unless they had a person taking an individual's uh, temperature
Mm.
as they walked in. And if they didn't have that, they couldn't stay open. So a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, a lot of these companies essentially had to hire staff, and that was very expensive. So we kind of, with a few other companies, we built this device that could read a person's temperature, automated, touchless. As soon as you walked up to it, it's almost like an iPad with a thermal camera on top,
Mm.
and then it reads off a temperature, and you're walking in. And we've developed it even more over the years of being able to recognize a person, employee, being able to take CDC questionnaires. So we've kind of really pivoted our entire company to a COVID product that really took off. The company did 10x in 2020 in revenue. We were Fortune or Inc. 5000 list, number 515
Wow.
in the fastest growing companies that are private in America.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, it makes
Yeah, yeah.
sense. As soon as when I read about that, I thought, wow, the guy who rapid screen. I mean, it's. I don't want to say you're exploiting a situation, but because it's necessary. Somebody needs to invent these things, but you see a need, you see a moment, and you jump on it. And yet, you're right about what you said earlier. There's probably 500 people, maybe some people listening to this right now who are like, I had that idea, but I never actually executed it, right?
Yeah, initially when I saw a similar product being sold online, and it was a lot of this kind of product was available in Asia because they kind of battle a lot of different illnesses every once in a while. But when I saw that, I thought it was a little gimmicky. I thought it wasn't gonna really be taken seriously initially, and then I was like, it's worth a shot to see if it will work here. So initially, I just did, like I said, you want to start out very small just to test out something. It's worth the test. So I built a website, and we had to move really fast because obviously COVID just kind of hit. We built a website in less than a week, and then we put some ad dollars in it and just did pre-orders because we didn't have the product. Just did
Wow.
pre-orders,
Wow.
and usually we get maybe two serious calls a week for digital signage products. When COVID hit, we went to zero, but for this product, it went to 75 calls a day,
Wow.
and these were calls from like PGA. NFL, Boeing, NASA. They were calling, and they weren't asking about price. They weren't asking about what it did. They were just, do you have it? When can we get it? How many can we get? And at that moment, the first day, I was like, okay, this is a product that will work. Then I threw in a lot of money and started it up.
Wait
But
a second. If the premise of if the pretext of the whole interview is that during COVID your business is slowed down, so you started making funny videos, it sounds like Rapid Screen was going nuts for you, and you were making all this money. Why the funny videos then?
well, and then at that moment, I mean, I had to work around the clock. I was working like literally 14 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, and it was exhausting. It was, and you're sitting at home working behind a computer. You're not meeting with your team. Everyone's virtual. I quadrupled our sales force, our people. Everybody's digital. I mean, I'm on call all the time because we're bringing things from overseas. It's just crazy hours, and you start to kind of hallucinate or go crazy after that. You're not connected with anything in any reality. You're just working 14 hours a day. You're not seeing a human
Right.
ever. Once a week I would see my family. You remember the times you would,
Sure.
like, you couldn't even
Yeah.
go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
So the funny videos were almost like an escape. I didn't, luckily I didn't get into like video games or anything. I'm sure a lot of people got into that or watching Netflix and just binging on that. But it was more like an escape out of that. It was a creative outlet because that was so automated, and so every day was the same day of putting out fires of why the shipment was delayed. And it was very stressful. So the funny videos were like a way to kind of cheer me up
Is
too.
is is Rapid Screen still a thing? Are people using it still?
There are, and it's more for I would say in senior home
Mm.
living spaces, places that are more they kind of need that technology. We don't sell it as much anymore. There might be an opportunity where we can position that for another type of product or solution, but not what it used to be. 2020
Right.
was big. 2021 was still pretty big. 2022 it started to really
Right.
slow
Right.
down.
Right.
I guess right after the mandates came down from the airports.
Right. Right. And so with these funny videos, like what was the first one? What was the first moment where something is really catching on, where you go, shit, this is a thing. I can do this and get. I mean, I'll get to the Amber Heard one. I don't know if it's that, but what was the first one where you got so much attention that you realized I can actually do something that's going to catch on here?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I was making a lot of videos, and none of them were, few of them, nothing was really becoming ultra viral until, like you said, the Amber Heard video. I did one video of that, which was the kissing one. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
the one before the big one. And that one took off. That one got about 15 million views. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I did that one, and then someone in the comments said, you're the dealer, you're her dealer, you're providing that. And I'm like, oh, wait,
Right.
there might be something there. And then I did that, and that, yeah, I did that one. That one just
I should
went
explain. I mean,
crazy.
people will as we talk about it, will probably remember seeing this, or if not, we'll want to find it. But
Sure.
during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, of course, there's those famous shots of her in the seat there next to the judge, and Johnny Depp is watching, and with a camera on her, there's a moment. I mean, there had been a lot of speculation about, I guess, from Amber Heard detractors, or maybe that she was doing cocaine, or jokes about it that she was doing coke, and so you make a video of you next to this big TV screen passing her something. I
Her
mean, you pass it,
medicine.
her medicine through the screen, and again, it's just this little idea. I mean, I have to commend you for just this tiny little idea where you see the opportunity where she's got a handkerchief or something on the TV screen that you can be pretending to pass this to her. And then what is it, like 90 million views or something this thing has gotten, right?
Yeah, about 84 million. And it was just every day was just at the time, it was over a course of about a month and a half. It was unreal. There was one day I remember I had 16 million visits on just my Instagram. And that's unreal. That's
But
crazy. And to
so
even
for
think,
that one though, I mean, we talked about trolls earlier. Surely there are people who supported Amber Heard who didn't like that video, or thought that you were poking fun. You must have then started to feel some of the haters as well, right?
a little bit there. Yeah, 99.9% was on the other side, was laughing about it, was on Johnny Depp's and really talking some really nasty things about Amber Heard. And then there were others. There was a handful of people that were her supporters and thought that was like a swipe at her being a liar or whatever or me agreeing with the comments. And it's just like, and yeah, some of the comments, some of the messages I would get, but it was, I mean, I don't take that personally. Some of the other videos I get people, making fun of me, whatever, it happens. It's like, and it's usually 99% of the time or more, it's people with private accounts, with no posts.
Right.
And
Right.
it's those people that have the most aggression and discomfort with others making something out of themselves. Maybe it's something, it says more about them than it definitely says about me
Yeah.
when they're holding
Yeah.
so much private in their life, that they're like vicious and they're these keyboard warriors online.
You didn't ever hear from. Well, I'm guessing you didn't hear from Amber Heard, but did you ever hear like that whether Johnny Depp saw that or if any? I mean, because that's a real viral video. Not
I'm sure
84
they
million.
did. I
Yeah.
mean, like for example, what was it? Trump Jr. shared it on his Instagram.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure Trump would have shared it too, but at the time his Instagram was blocked
Right. Right.
and his
Right.
Twitter was blocked.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Well,
so yeah, it
the
was.
distinction of being shared by Don Jr. That's I mean, you can put that in your trophy cabinet.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
and I got a lot of Republican fans there, and it was just everybody was sharing. It was just really interesting. The verified accounts that were now noticing me. I got about 120,000 followers every day. I would get like another 5 to 10,000 followers.
Wow. Yeah.
And then when you mentioned if they heard about it, one of my friends is friends with the lawyer Vasquez, I think her name
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
She shared it in a group chat with her,
Mm.
and so she saw it. I don't know if she shared it with Johnny, but I'm sure most of their team, because when you're in that space, whatever space you're in, you have friends sending you stuff that they think is funny that related to you, right? Um, I'm
I
pretty
mean,
confident. Yeah.
is there any? You seem so sort of sanguine or cool, calm about this. I mean, is there any part of you that was freaking out? That was like, oh my God, this is am I going to be in trouble somehow, or what's happening here? Like, there's millions of views. I mean, was there any part of you that was like not cool about this?
I'm very optimistic about everything, but I was actually a little disappointed because I wasn't getting the attention of like other like the media, like the real media, because and then I realized what it was. Like I try to take that opportunity and like leverage it into maybe some sort of PR or something to gain a little bit more, but I realized because it had to do with the subject matter of allergy medicine, in quotes.
Right, right.
Yeah, most of those
Yeah.
outlets didn't want to touch it because it was pretty groundbreaking. At that moment, I was the 15th most watched Instagram reel of all time.
Wow.
At that moment, I looked it up and I was ranked on there. But yeah, nobody, I mean, usually you get some sort of article written about you or something, especially when you come out
Yeah.
with very little followers to that level. I was getting more views than like a lot of celebrities on there, but even ESPN, their max was like 20 million at the time.
And you're right.
So
It's,
it's
it's a
like,
it's a funny thing that doesn't necessarily suggest you're editorializing about the case about or anything like that. It's just a funny, thing
yeah,
about
it's a funny
based.
moment
It's
of
based on a joke that's happening in the internet about somebody, but I could see mainstream media being like, yeah, we don't want to get involved in that commentary or something. So one of the things that's interesting about you, I know I can't keep you here forever, but just to ask you a bit more about these videos before I let you go.
sure.
Um, Something that I find, I guess maybe somehow not just refreshing, but comforting, is that there's this feeling sometimes that the online space is really unfair because some people just get these viral videos and others don't, and part and parcel of that attitude is this notion that you're just throwing things out there and you got lucky, right? You hit the jackpot. You got somehow something happened in the algorithm or somebody shared it and you got, which surely that does happen. But
Sure.
having had a couple of successful content creators like yourself on the program in the last couple of years, influencers, whatever you want to call them, it also becomes clear that people like you spend a lot of time on this. It's not actually that you're just throwing stuff out there, a funny little clip that you happen to think of in the middle of a flight, but that you're actually laboriously thinking about ideas, shooting it as best you can, editing it, continuing to think about how you want to present it. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, and it does take a lot of time to make some, at least for me. I don't know. I think most content creators, it takes a lot of time depending on what they're doing. Even though that one was a 21-second video that probably took 3 days to fully, and I might be a little different. I'm more of a perfectionist. Like I got to get the right song, and I'm glad I picked that song. It was
Sorry,
the
the
song
Amber
from.
Heard one took 3 days to shoot?
Well, no, 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 not to shoot. Shooting took probably 2 hours because you got to set it up, you got to get the right angles, and then the
But
takes.
even so,
And then,
for 20 seconds, you took a couple of hours to do that.
oh yeah, because I'll do it. I'll sit down and look at the tape. Like the first time I did it, I went in and I gave her that, and then I kind of walked away, and I'm like, wait, what if I gave her money? What if she gave me money? Okay, how am I going to get the money there? Then I had it was a few hours for sure, because then I had to figure out how to get the money right. And then I would get the money. It had to flow like perfectly. And every second couldn't be wasted at all, because if I fumbled with it, I mean, if you watch the video, it's just like fluid, but that took a few takes. And I'm like, oh, I need a necklace that, how am I going to give it to her? Give her the medicine. Obviously, I'm saying medicine for your
Yes.
viewers.
Yes. Thank you for
uh,
being mindful of our delicate audience. Yes.
and I had this like necklace that I got from one of my trips, and then I put a cap on it, a chapstick cap, because it had to unscrew really quick. I couldn't fumble with. So all that you gotta come up with. Yeah, I don't have the right props handy around, so I had to be kind of creating this stuff. I had to kind of come up with an idea of how to take it from the back. Yeah, that was my first go at it. Yeah, it took a few hours at the very least to put it together. And then, like I said, I would watch the video and I'm
Did you
like,
have somebody helping you, or did you just set the camera up? You were.
that one, no, no, I put it on a tripod,
Hmm.
and also the lighting and all that stuff has to be kind of, it's just my perfection. And then once I got it right, it's like, okay, do I put song on it or not? And I had like 3 songs And luckily, I shared it with a few friends because I knew it was like this is flowing so well. This is a great video. I gotta now the song. I don't want to fuck it up with the song. So yeah, everybody liked the it was a Scarface song.
Hmm.
It was a really perfect song for it. And then yeah, and then I posted it and right there. So yeah, I would say total of 2 to 3 days to post that. But luckily, I mean, some of my videos at the very least take about an hour fully, at the very very least, even a 15-second video because I take at least 6 takes. Like imagine on an airplane, I'll show you. Got the last trip I was on, I had to take a bunch of video, and I'll show you how ridiculous this is. This is, oh, I got to turn off. How do I turn this?
It's okay. I can sort of see it. Yeah.
Let me see if I can. You can see my face
Yeah. Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
All of this is just me on a plane. Each one of these are like 20 seconds. And the plane. Yeah, it's just me, and I haven't taken them down. So yeah, that one was like 20 takes of me. I mean, the person that was sitting next to me was just like,
This
who
guy's
did I
obsessed
sit
with
next to?
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the editing takes an incredible amount of time. That one, not so much because I just put a video over it. But a
So,
lot of the sound
has
effects.
the inverse been true where you put something up and you later go, if I just spent more time with that, I feel like I kind of rushed that one, or I just wanted to put up something today and I put it up and I should have actually produced that more, like take more time with it. Has that happened?
It has, but it's not to the effect of like it's like regrettable. It's not that big of a thing
Right.
because I wait. I'm doing a thing where I'm editing. I'm looking over it, and I look over it a couple times before I post because I hate that because you can't re-edit it, you can't redo it. So yeah, it's just me being a perfectionist, and I don't think that's the best thing because I'm not able to put out some of the creators I'm friends with, they're putting out 2 to 3 videos a day. And I'm like, there's no way I could do that with the way I'm performing these or editing these. I wish I
Well,
could.
this isn't even your job, right?
No, I'm not making any
you're
money
not making
from
money
it.
doing this, which amazed me because I thought, having watched your videos, then I got, okay, well, this is what this guy's doing. But the other problem, it occurs to me, with getting 84 million views of a video, which is literally more than almost any television show ever, right? I mean, this is like these are huge numbers. This is like it has to be the Super Bowl or something to do big. And the problem with that is it's a good bet that most of your videos from now on are not going to reach 84 million views. So you're now in this paradigm where if your video gets 200,000 views, which would be amazing for a normal person, for you it must feel like some kind of letdown, like, oh, I'm not hitting it out of the park anymore, right? I mean, how do you?
200,000 is great. I kind of measure my success, I guess, based on the number of shares I get more than anything. That tells me a lot. Because even if the algorithm is not performing well, which I can't control, the shares tell me if it resonated with people enough for
Mm.
them to kind of share it with their friends and family, and that tells me more. But yeah, I don't expect every video to be a hit. Like the one, I don't know if you saw the video of me clapping for a clapping noise on an airplane that I was hearing. That did 70 million randomly,
Oh,
and
oh
that
yeah.
was very few edits. That was a very sometimes it's the simplest videos.
Do you get bummed out if something doesn't get a lot of likes or doesn't get a lot of views?
A little bit, yeah. Like my I still post some videos of magic, and those don't do as well at all. They probably have the least because I think my followers are following me for the comedy,
Right, right.
and the magic. Yeah, magic is a little harder to wow over because there could be some trickery there, or they could be in on it. No matter what the reaction is, but I still post them just because it's what I like. I mean, it's yeah, it may or may not hit,
What have
but yeah,
you,
it's a yeah.
Puya? What have you? I mean, you said earlier in our chat that it's still a guessing game. It's hit and miss in terms of you can't. There's no exact science to virality in terms of these videos and stuff. But what have you most learned about what catches on versus what doesn't in the online space?
Yeah, I think a couple things I've learned. I've learned that the your performance or your acting has to be kind of genuine. It just has to feel like you're the person watching. It just has to, if you can resonate with them in that level,
Mm,
if you're not overacting, and getting these weird reactions, people will not like that kind of. I wouldn't like watching someone that's overacting or overreacting. It just kind of is a little cringy. But the more realistic you are with your performance of what you would really do in a situation like this, that resonates really well, and that helps people kind of relate to it a little bit better. And then the other point would be to uh, to have a really great ending, something that leaves them with a good taste that they want, because that's the last thing that they see before they decide whether they want to share it or not.
mm,
So the main hook has to be there, of interest, of like, what's going on over here? Is the TV up? And this guy walking up to it sounds interesting. Something's going to happen. It's got to, that first 2 seconds, because everyone has an attention span of a goldfish now. So you got to grab them, not give everything away, but just grab their attention. And then the ending has to be, the middle has to be something very genuine, something that they want to stay there and watch. And then the ending's got to be something unexpected or a little bit better than all the other parts to it, so that they go, "Oh, that was funny. My grandma will enjoy this or this." And then another point that I've noticed that really helps, and you can't do this with all creators, but if the language barrier is taken out of it, I've
mm.
noticed those videos do much better. Not regarding like subtitles or anything, but if it's just a video of reaction,
Right, right,
that'll, like the Amber Heard was, I was getting a lot of attention from Turkey, from
right.
all these different countries. They didn't even,
There's no
and some of my
script. There's no
videos,
script in that one. It's just
yeah,
it's
some of
all
my videos I see, and I did a video with my nephew where I was like acting like I was going to cook a meal over his head, and there was no words exchanged, and I was getting all these Russian comments, because again, they don't even know if I'm Russian or not, but they're just reacting to that moment, and they can share it with their, like I said, grandma that doesn't speak any English. But yeah, if you can do it without any if any words, like the one creator that really blew up, Cobby. I don't know if you've noticed him.
mm,
He did his videos are, he shows something really overcomplicated and he does it very simply, and he goes,
mm.
and he does that. His videos did insane. He went from nothing, and he started during COVID. But every single one of his videos, he doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. I don't think I've ever heard him talk. I don't think he's ever done an interview.
Interesting.
But that's one of the reasons. He's gotten vitality through. He's gotten viral sensation through the entire globe. It's
Right,
not just
right.
one geographical area. So those are the things that I've noticed really help, especially with Instagram and TikTok.
So before I let you go, I mean, I know that you're developing an audience in Iran, that the place you were born there. I feel like you're another person that Iranians are going to discover or have discovered, but are going to increasingly discover and want to really claim as our own, as their own. Like, anything that's good, the Iranians want to go like, he is ours.
Of course.
Tell me about your how your Persian parents, what they make of your newfound online celebrity or notoriety, for that matter, in terms of these videos.
Yeah, I mean, initially when before I started my businesses, my parents just wanted me to focus on school and something that has real credibility in the Persian community. I do want to correct you. I didn't actually graduate Cal State Fullerton.
Oh,
I actually left. Yeah, I did the Mark Zuckerberg path or Steve Jobs, just kind of quit halfway. And that's what made him probably uncomfortable until, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I kind of did a lot of sales positions, but then I started my businesses and those took off, and then they became very supportive of everything else. And the good thing is the businesses is what are automated and help me leverage all my creativity. And now I'm doing stand-up comedy, which is a whole nother category of comedy that
yeah.
takes a whole different skill set. It's got its own challenges. But yeah, they're very supportive in terms of my videos, my stand-up comedy, my magic, because they already know I kind of have the foundation with businesses, and now I've got this outlet, and a lot of other family members are sending them video clips, and they're sharing mine. So
That's
yeah,
nice.
they can be as supportive as I think they're over uh, supportive compared to most Persian parents would be.
Well, that sounds great, man. I'm happy for you that things seem to be going so well, and that you've developed this interesting, diverse portfolio of success. And your videos are truly funny. I mean, they're again little. Some of them are just based on one little idea, and it's real genius to bring that to life. Thank you for taking the time. I hope we can do it in person next time.
Thank you.
Come visit us in Canada, or we'll see you down there in the States. And in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Take care, Pouya. Merci.
Thank you.
Bye bye. This is Rook episode 305. Remember, we've just announced our first Rook Live ever. It's going to be at the Theater Aurora on Wednesday, February 7th. You can get tickets for it or find out more about it at our website, rookmedia.com. Rookmedia.com, ROQE, obviously, media.com. All right. My next guest today is an Iranian Canadian comedian and actor known for his accents, his characters, his impressions, stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, podcasts, vlogs, and much more. Neema Nazeri was born in Toronto and discovered his comedic flair at the age of 8, mimicking his mother's order at a Tim Hortons donut shop drive-thru. Growing up with a diverse group of friends, Neema's comedy playfully explores various cultures and communities through a variety of accents. If you follow Neema, you know this. This includes like the Persian accent, Italian, Chinese, British, Indian, much more. And beyond his comedic endeavors, Neema produces daily and weekly content on various social media platforms. And in addition to appearing in commercials, TV series, films, he's become a rising star on TikTok, amassing over 500,000 followers. In the last couple of weeks, Neema and his brother, who also manages him, have picked up and relocated to Australia. Right now, Neema Nazeri joins me from Melbourne, Australia. Hello, sir.
Hello.
You
How's it going?
you found possibly the farthest place on the planet from Toronto to go to. You got on a plane.
Yep.
You said, "Take me as far as you can from Toronto." What are you doing in Australia?
It's a pure career move over here. You know, we wanted to come here and do a lot of stand-up shows and film some new content. It was time to expand away from Canada. It's been a while. I've been living there my whole life, so I was like, you know what? If not now, then when, right? Got to do it while you're still young.
You know, I love Australia. We got a lot of people who listen to Rook in Australia, but it does seem like a strange career move. Like like New York was an hour flight away, you know.
Yeah.
There's LA, there's London. Like you've picked up and gone to Australia. Tell me about that being a career move.
Well, originally we were supposed to go down to US, but immigration wasn't having it, you know. There are like too many Persians already, so let's you guys can go somewhere else. So yeah, we took it as a sign from the universe or wherever to just switch it up and go.
Aside from the universe or customs officials.
Yeah. We took it as a sign from fucking Kevin from Customs. Yeah. So yeah, we just decided, you know what, we're not gonna stay here, right? And it's not that we don't want to stay in Canada or in Toronto. It's just at some point you got in for comedy, especially you hit a ceiling in Toronto, and that's what happened for me. And I felt like it was the perfect time to expand my network and go a little bit more global because that's what I want, right? I want my future to be. I want to be traveling the world, doing stand up, and building an audience everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, what if not now, then when am I going to do it, right? It's like perfect time when I'm single, I have no money, I have no responsibilities, and all I need to do is just get on stage and do comedy. So yeah, it was a perfect time because we couldn't go to the US. So I was like, well, it's either UK or Australia, and Australia was the easier option for now, and then eventually UK, and then back to the US.
Also, I mean, stand up is one of the things you do, but you've really become well known for the stuff that you put on social media, which really, I guess, you could do from anywhere, right? It mostly features you, and it's videos and fun things that you're putting up that you could be doing in China or in Europe somewhere, or in Canada or in Australia.
Yeah, Guangzhou, yeah, anywhere, yeah.
I don't know about Guangzhou. So literally this move happened a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah. It's been exactly 1 week, actually.
1 week. And was there a eureka moment where you and your brother were just like, let's do it, let's buy the tickets, there's no turning back, or has this been something you planned for a long time?
We didn't plan it at all, actually. We've been planning to go to the US for a whole year up until my birthday, which was November 30th. That day, we found out we got rejected. Our visas got rejected to go into the US for the third time that year.
You're talking about work visas, right? I mean, obviously, as a Canadian, you can go to the States,
like strictly for like work, because I want to do a lot of comedy shows, make money, right? And brand work, whatever it is. So yeah, that day we found out that we got rejected again. We're like, well, we can't spend any more money towards this visa because it's really expensive trying to go to the US for a work visa. And literally in that moment, within that hour, we decided like, well, we can't stay here. What's our backup plan? And UK and Australia were kind of in the back of our pockets, and we're like, well, it's one of these two. And then we went home that night. We decided Australia, and then the next day applied, got the application visas within 1 minute of submitting.
Wow.
Yeah, it was way cheaper. It's way livable here. It's similar to Canada. It's safe, whatever. Right. Weather's nice, and we're like, well, yeah, let's just do it.
And what's it been like so far?
It's been amazing. Honestly, we're still settling in. There's a lot to do. Like, a lot of miscellaneous things you don't really realize you have to do until you move somewhere new, especially on the other side of the world. And we're like, the people are driving on the opposite side of the road. So that already throws you off.
Why'd you go to Melbourne? Why not like Sydney or somewhere else?
Well, we just kind of weighed out the options, and we're like, well, Sydney is a little bit more of a more touristy area. And it's fine, but Melbourne is more of like the hub for entertainment, and a lot of comedy happens here, and so and a lot of my comedian friends that I know from here live here as well, so that's why we made the decision to come here.
Australia really is a fertile place for comedy, isn't it?
Where, Australia?
Yeah,
it is. It's a huge hub for comedy. It's very underrated, actually. No one really knows because it's so far away. It's hard to really connect the two together. Like, you don't really see anything about it, right? But there's comedy everywhere in this whole country, and like literally they have massive fringe festivals, for month-long fringe festivals in every major city, which starts next week actually in Perth for a month, which I'm going to, and then right after that's done, the Adelaide Fringe Festival starts. Right after that's done, Melbourne Comedy Festival, and then there's Sydney and Brisbane have their own festivals as well. They have Just for Laughs, like they have everything. So
I mean, it's interesting when somebody comes from Australia to Canada. Um, and they have an Australian accent. I mean, we have a common culture between the two countries, and both speaking
Yeah.
English, etc. But it does feel like it's somebody from away, like they're sort of an exotic
Yeah.
person. Are you getting that treatment so far in Australia? I mean, are you Canadian Neema Nazeri, or are you Iranian Neema Nazeri, or what is your identity there?
I'm an Aussie. I'm an Aussie. All
You're
right.
not an Aussie. Yeah, that's
I
very
am an
clear.
Aussie. I am an Aussie. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just came as Nima Naz, the comedian. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm open to anything. I'm not really trying to do a specific thing. I just want to build my audience more here to get more stage time for stand up. So to build for my next tour that's coming next
But dude,
year.
so much of what you've done. I mean, the last time you were on the show, we talked about a lot of your comedy has been very Toronto centric. Like you do characters. You got that one guy who's like a stereotypical Canadian guy, and you do
Yeah.
stuff about the different ethnic groups that are in Toronto. I mean, you've been like a 416 kind of guy,
Yeah.
and so. Is this getting out of your comfort zone somehow to go somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I, I, I never want to stay in one lane. You know, I know I can expand my lane and my horizons and do more. I just need to be around different environments. It just makes sense to be in the actual place in order to do the certain like jokes or whatever like that. And like it doesn't hurt to learn people's cultures in the actual place as well. So um that's why we wanted to originally move to the US as well, because LA is different from New York, and New
Yeah,
York's different from
yeah.
Chicago, and everywhere, right? So my strength is being around people and being able to observe their culture and their accents and their mannerisms, and to be able to imitate life and make jokes about them.
There
So
there are a lot of
yeah.
Persians in Australia. Have you found them
Yeah, yeah.
yet?
In Sydney, there are more in
They're
Sydney.
more in
Yeah.
Sydney. So,
Yeah, yeah. Not as many in Melbourne. Like I've only seen like two, to be honest, this whole time.
right.
But
If
and
we
that's the
hear
thing.
from them, should we send them to you?
Yeah, exactly. Send them on a bus. Yeah, I'll meet them at the station. Um, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I like being put in a different, in an uncomfortable position to like and do new things, because that's the only way you're gonna grow too, right?
Sure.
And I hate being complacent and staying in one place and doing the same things over and over again. That's how I become stale. And I felt like that was what was happening back home, and I was like, well, it's time. This is the time to take that jump, take that risk in order to become the successful, biggest comedian that I want to become. So,
So
yeah.
okay. Well, I want to ask you about that. But so you haven't found the local kababi yet. You haven't found. Yeah,
No,
you haven't
no,
found
not
the
yet.
place where you're getting your Nuna Bad Badi in the mornings or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would be nice, but to be honest, I don't even eat a lot of Persian food. To be honest, like I don't eat traditional food that Persians eat, because one, I don't I stay away from gluten and sugar, which
Mm.
is two big things in our culture.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's why I'm like, people think I am, obviously I do Persian videos and Persian jokes, but it's like, I'm not a Persian comedian. I don't feel that way. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like I happen to be Persian, and I bring light and I represent my people, but at the same time, I'm Canadian as well, right? And like I represent everyone. And being Canadian means representing Asians and Indians and black people and white people and Persians, right? List goes on. And that's how I feel. That's who I am.
What did your much beloved mom, who has appeared in many of your videos, what did she have to say about you guys moving?
She was sad. She was crying. She was emotional, but she also understands. She knows, she understands the grind. That because her and my dad had to, you know, come over to Canada many years ago. And they had to just move countries for a certain reason. And, it's maybe not the same reason, but, they understand why it needs to be done. And, yeah, it's the immigrant mentality, man. Like you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like my brother and I thrive too, is because we have that drive from within, from our parents who had to go through so much adversity in their lives at our ages now.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why
But
it's
but
really,
but but way more dramatically and with a lot more risk than we will ever face. I mean, when our parents left, it was a remarkable thing. I mean, I always think about that. I always think about that. How, leaving Iran anytime before the internet, meant you were really disconnecting yourself from your family and people back there, that in a way that you won't feel disconnected now in Australia. There you are talking to me, your mom, whatever. You're going to feel as connected as ever to a certain extent. But did she try? Did your family try and dissuade you at all, or was it like, okay, go do what you have to do?
no, not at all. They're just asking questions about why there, is there a reason why can't you go here? Just to try to understand simply. But they never get in the way of our business moves and our career moves because we know best within our own industry what to do next. And they're just there to support fully. Like literally they help us with financial stuff too still. Because making a big move, it requires
Yeah.
a lot more money than usual. But like my goal has always been to like, really make it big so I can pay them back as much as possible. Pay them up, like pay off their mortgage, retire early, all those things. And like they
Nice.
understand that as well. And they're like, all right, go get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's see you do it almost. It's kind of like a challenge. And I'm like, all right, bet. Like, you don't have to twist my arm.
Mm.
I'll show you guys, but obviously in like a fun way. And yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm lucky. I'm
one of the things I kind of love about what the move to Australia too is your, um, I mean, not that it's that radical a thing to do, but you're really committing. You're committing to the bit. You're committing to this path. Like, and that's been true for you for a few years. I mean, if half
yeah.
the battle is knowing what you want, you know what you want. You love being a performer in comedy, and this kind of underscores that. You're not going there because some firm has recruited you and is bringing you there and has an apartment ready for you and giving you a job. Like you're going there to hustle, doing the thing that you love. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, like at the base of it, that's what I love doing. And that's the reason why I even dropped out of school to pursue comedy in the first place, was because I simply just love it. It makes me happy. It's my passion. It's like nothing's better than that, in my opinion. Like,
Hmm.
because I don't have anything else. If I don't do this, I'm screwed. So it's already tough enough, but it's something worth fighting for me. And yeah, that in itself is enough of a reason to make these risks and take these big jumps.
I love that. Good for you. It's interesting when you say uh, kind of hit a ceiling in Toronto, want to take it to the next level, because it's always, I mean, you're in it, you're dealing with that every day, you're kind of eager and ambitious, and you want, from the outside, I've only seen what appears to be your career growing. And one of the things that happened in the last, I guess it was over the last year, where um, you were opening for, I guess Russell's become kind of a stand-up legend now, Russell Peters, for a few nights, who I think I recall you putting on social media that he was an idol of yours. He was somebody that you really looked up to coming up. How was that for you?
Yeah, yeah. That was amazing. I guess it was after we talked before, but yeah, that was such a great, huge milestone in my life and my career because, like you said, like he was my comedic idol growing up. I was when I was a kid, I was watching Just for Laughs on TV with my dad, and I saw him on the TV doing these jokes about all these different cultures, and I was like, wow, like this is amazing. How is he getting away with this? I wish I could do that one day. And then, in a way, he inspired me to pursue comedy to however many years later, right? And then to not only do comedy, but also, a few years after that, get to open for him as well was a dream come true for me, especially in my hometown as well, too. Like that, nothing beats that. And that's if anyone were to ask me why I do comedy, it's for reasons like that.
Mm,
It's because I created that out of nothing. It was all because of a decision in my head one day to be like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing stand up. I'm gonna start doing comedy. And then now I'm opening for my idol. It's like it's possible, right? It's like
that's
I'm
amazing.
not anything special. I'm not the most talented guy. I'm not the most skilled guy, but I work hard and I aspire to do great things. And that's all it takes, really. It's just staying consistent.
How much when you're opening for, because I know you've performed with a number of high profile comedians. How much do you need to cater, or do you worry about catering what you're doing at that show to that audience? And how much do you do the Neema Naz? You know, I mean, for say with Russell Peters, were you highly self-conscious of what his audience may or may not accept of you?
I mean, yes and no, but to be honest, that guy, he's the perfect guy to, for me, because it's very similar audiences, right? His audience is my audience and vice versa in a way. I'm just a more modern version, I think. Because he also does accents and cultural jokes, and
Right.
I do the same in different ways. So yeah, obviously I was nervous, but in my head I'm like, well, I'm here for a reason. They got me here for a reason because they're also fans of mine, which is amazing, which is insane. And so I just got to go up there and do me, be who I am authentically, and people will like me for that. And they did, and I ended up like killing it. It was the best 10 minutes of stand up I think I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah. And inside a state arena, by the way, Scotiabank Arena, 16,000 people. Which
Yeah.
before that, the most I would have ever done was like 500 people in a room.
Yeah.
So
I saw
it's
you on a bill last year, like it was Moz and Tehran and you. So that's going to be a more Persian audience. And then
yeah,
I guess you have to cater your jokes more to the Persians to a certain extent.
yeah. So yeah, I guess yeah. To answer the question for Russell as well, is like yeah, when I did the Russell show, I wasn't doing all like Persian jokes, like which I have, but I mixed it up. Like I did like a Nigerian joke, a Filipino joke, a little bit about my mom and my family and myself, and that's it. That was the 10 minutes. But then yeah, for the Moz show, I was like, okay, like these are all like mostly Persian people, some Arabs, like Middle Eastern mostly. Let me do a little bit more on the Persian and
Right.
like Middle Eastern lifestyle, and that also killed. I did a great job there because you also I don't think you should ever cater to an audience, but you should always be open to adapting to where you are and reading the room. That's what's really important, mainly.
Tell me how you become friends, colleagues to a certain extent with the social media star and entrepreneur Gary Vee.
Gary V, man, that guy's my brother and I's internet dad. To be honest, that's what we always say.
How
Honestly,
does he
yeah.
feel about that? Is he okay with being
Yeah,
your
he loves
dad?
it. I mean, he's the most humble guy, man. Like he's so authentic. He's actually who he is on camera in real life. It's crazy to think because he's the busiest guy. He's worth so much money. He has so much going on, but he still just remains the same person, and that's why it's inspiring us to be like that as well. It's like if he can do that, we have no excuse of like letting ego get to our heads or whatever bullshit, right? When I met him, he invited me out to do his conference VCon a couple years ago in Minneapolis, to go on stage as him before he comes on.
Yeah, because you do a
I,
character that's kind of based on him, right?
no, it is him.
It is
It's
him.
it's an impression of Gary V,
Right.
like straight on. Yeah, it's not hiding anything. It's just Gary V. And he loves it, man. He loved it. He's always loved it. And one thing he actually told me when I met him was he was watching my videos 2 years before actually engaging with my content and like
Uh,
like letting me notice that he's been watching because and I asked him why and he's like, well, I don't want to engage and like let you think that like I enjoy your stuff before you start to post more because he wants to see if I'm going to stay consistent and keep it up and keep going, and that's what he really appreciates. And when he saw that I was consistently posting for like 2 years straight of him trying to get his attention, finally he's like, all right, let me reward the kid. And then you know like next thing you know, he's invited me out to his conference. He's interacting with me on DM, saying, "Keep going, good job." Like it was crazy. But he shouts me on another podcast, on Andrew Schultz's podcast, who's also one of my favorite comedians. I'm like, all this happens because of just posting whatever you think is funny online, and just yeah, you just never know. And yeah, so
what would you say that you've I mean he's a really savvy business guy, Gary Vee. What would you say you've most learned from him?
well, there's certain parts of what he says that we take away from, like some parts, I don't really relate to as much, or it's like you can't sometimes when you watch your favorite creators or whatever, like you don't fully relate to everything they say, but you take you take some parts away that you really resonate to, and so that you resonate with. But the biggest part for us with Gary Vee is just his message about like uh, staying authentic to yourself, having patience, micro speed, doing a lot of stuff daily, but having macro patience, like, you know, thinking in decades and slowing down, but also like working hard every
Mm.
day, having perspective, like staying humble, right? Like not letting things get to your head, just like very philosophical things like that, to be honest. And just, yeah, just staying real, like literally, like I have hammered into my head just like to stay authentic every day when I'm posting content, like
Yeah,
do
and
things only you can post, right?
I
So
think that Gary Vee also say don't focus on the haters or the lovers. Like
yeah, yeah,
don't
that too. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
don't get consumed in all the people who are loving you as well as the trolls, right?
yeah, yeah, and that's exactly it too. Is that's helped us a lot because especially because recently in the past couple of years, like the more following you get, the more hate you get as well, and also more love. And he's right. It's like if you get too caught up on the negativity, then you think you're a terrible person and you suck and you're not funny. But then the same way when you look too much into the positive comments, you think you're a god, and that's equally toxic in my opinion. And also what Gary says, and so we respect Gary, we love what he says, and we trust him. And everything we've listened to from him has worked for us as well. And so that's the same thing. Whenever we see comments, we just kind of engage with it neutrally and appreciate it, and just
Do you
have
read
gratitude
the
for it.
comments on your social media?
I read every single comment, DM. My brother does too. He
You
has
do.
access to my account, like,
You,
and we
you haven't
and
you
another.
don't you don't have that many haters then yet because
Well, not
if you read
we
all the
a little
comments.
bit, but there's been certain times, but you won't see it on my comments because I respond to every single comment, and most of it's positive and fun. They're actually big fans, so no one dares to write any bullshit because my audience will come and attack them, right? Because that you build that audience, that strong fan base.
Nice.
Like no one's trying to like fuck with that. But my DMs, there's a lot of that hate, and even that, like, it's like whatever, you have to understand that they don't have full context on your life and what you're doing, so obviously they're just going to jump to conclusions and make judgments. And that's also what Gary Vee talks about, is like they just don't understand the context of what you're doing, so it's like obviously they're going to write whatever they think they see of you. So
It's
you took
interesting,
it.
you are a really authentic guy. I mean, you're very my experiences with you are you're incredibly modest and humble and just this really, you seem like a really sweet guy. I mean, that's all I get from you. And that in a way, it's so interesting. I mean, I don't want to sort of descend into stereotypes about comedians now, but it takes so much balls to go up in front of an audience and throw yourself out there. And I'm never surprised if a comedian seems cocky or has that streak in them, because it takes a lot of gumption to go up and do what you do. And that's the interesting thing about you, where you've got this like sort of bigger than life character that's in your comedy, but you're a pretty quiet guy off stage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like to say I'm an extroverted introvert. I'm very chill. Like when I'm not on camera, I am who I am. But it's obviously like a little bit exaggerated for the camera because it's just more energy. But I'm never trying to be someone I'm not. The same things you see online is how I am with my friends and my family in person,
Yeah.
off camera. But I also believe I'm more serious than people think, because otherwise, like, how do you expect to make it big and become successful and expand your brand and all these things if you're not taking it seriously? And also that goes hand in hand with taking my health seriously, which also leads to better comedy, because if I'm not healthy, then how can I become a great performer, right? Like, I always believe in that. I always think about
Yeah,
that. And so
I'm glad you went there, because before I let you go, that's where I wanted to ask you. But I mean, the last time you were here, or at least last time you were on the show, we had a really honest conversation about your struggles with mental health in the past, and how you worked your way through that, and how you make it a priority to balance your life. And I wanted to ask you how you feel like that's going.
That's great, man. Honestly, I'm at the best place mentally I've ever been. And physically, I'm not at the best yet, but I've made a lot of progress in this past year. But I know that this year is the way I'm going. By the end of this year, I don't know, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be in the best shape of my life, which I'm excited about. And it just comes down to planning and staying consistent and knowing your why, right? Understanding why you're doing this in the first place. That's what's made it easier for me to get better mentally and physically, and for my career as well. And so,
So
it just
what's an example of what you do for for mental health? I'm curious to learn from you.
Yeah, so every morning when I wake up, I first of all I make it a habit to if I at least at the very least wake up at the same exact time every single morning. So for me right now it's 8 a.m. And mind you, this is a guy who just up until a few years ago was waking up at like 12 p.m.,
Wow.
1 p.m.
Wow.
Just sloppy, chaotic lifestyle, no structure, no organization. I'm the youngest kid, so I was always pampered and babied. So, my brother always shits on me for that, but because he was the more independent older one. But I'm at a point now, like over the years, it's been like 3, 4, 5 years now that I've like really started to like help myself, and it's waking up consistently at like 8 a.m., going to sleep early before midnight, preferably around 11. Like not looking at blue light screens up until like for 30 minutes to an hour before going to bed. And then also, as soon as I wake up, after going to the washroom, whatever you got to do for a few minutes, the first thing I do is I meditate using a waking up app called by Sam Harris. I follow the guided meditation for 10 to 15 minutes. I let my brain breathe and, get into this creative space. And then I immediately start writing stand up, sketch,
Wow.
movie ideas, TV series idea, everything, all that stuff. That's the only way I can set myself up for a more quality and effective day. Um, yeah, and then
So
right after that, I'll work out. And
you're not
yeah.
not a partier.
No, not at all. No, no, no,
I
no.
mean,
I haven't done that.
there's a romance around that 2 a.m. at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, yeah,
10 drinks in with your comedian friends. That's how you network.
yeah.
That's how you build things. That bullshit.
Well, it's not bullshit necessarily. The thing is, I've done that for many years before getting to this point now. That's why I feel like I said I was hitting a ceiling in Toronto is because I've done the hours, I've done the late nights at the shows every single night out, doing 4 shows in a night for a week straight. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done those hours, and now it's time to do that in a different place, but a little bit more elevated because it's not like I'm coming here completely green.
Right.
I've built a reputation, I've built a brand, I've done the hours, I've built the network, and so now I can kind of like jump 10 steps ahead and just do the best of the best. And that only happens by organizing your daily life and getting your shit together.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, there's no other way. Because if I didn't have the habits I have now, me going out and doing stand up would be a disaster. I'd ruin my sleep, which would ruin my workouts in the mornings too. My brain would be foggy. I wouldn't be able to be as creative. The list goes on. I would be eating terribly. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's a
No, I mean, honestly, the biggest takeaway, I often say this to people, of doing interviews for years with very, very successful artists. There's a thing in the artistic community, especially with young like musicians or comedians or whatever, that the romance of self-abuse, that you got to somehow be up all night drinking or doing drugs or something, and that's how you become somebody or something. And it's always been the opposite of that. Any almost exclusively, any time I've interviewed somebody who's really successful as an artist of some kind, a rock star or a comedian, whatever, they almost always are people who have their shit together and are really focused. I mean, even in the Persian community, something like Max Amini, he's a businessman. I mean, he sort of approaches it as, he gets up in the morning and does his, sees this as a career, as
yeah,
opposed to just something he's doing to be popular or, make some money and have a blast or something. That may be the veneer of it. So, but
yeah.
it's not the reality. And that's great that you've come to that at, I would say, what are you? You're still like 20 years old or something, aren't you? How old are you?
No, I just turned 29 this
Oh, you're
last month.
29. Man, you're getting old. Shit.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I take
Getting
it all
father
back.
time
I
already.
take it all back. So
Yeah.
so what's the plan for Australia? Like if somebody's listening right now, you said you're going to Perth. Like I know there's people listening in Australia. Do you have gigs lined up? What can you tell us?
To be honest, because we made the decision to come here last minute, I don't have many like solidified gigs lined up, like in any city. I'm doing a bunch of spots. Like I'm getting up on all my friends' shows because it's like a whole month of like festival shows. Every night there's like
Right, it's summer there now. It's
dozens
almost
of shows.
it's
Yes.
almost summer or something. Yeah,
It's summertime right now,
right.
like all over Australia. Yeah.
Amazing.
Just started pretty much, so it's yeah, perfect. Yeah, but I'm just like the whole reason why we're here and why we were supposed to originally go to the US like now was to prepare for my 2025 stand-up tour, which will start in like March of 2025. So the goal is to come here and get as much stage time as possible to build this new hour of material that I've been working on for the past few months, to really polish it so then it's ready to go for the tour. And so that's more so what I'm doing over here. So I'm doing 5-minute spots, 10-minute spots, 15-minute spots, just to kind of like find the best bits for the new hour.
And where does the 2025 tour go?
Everywhere, global.
All right.
The one last year, then 2022 was just Canada and a couple of cities in America, just as tester shows. But this time it's going to be all of Canada, a lot of the US, Europe, Australia, and the Middle East.
All right, man.
Yeah.
That sounds great. It's good to talk to you. It took me by surprise. We were, I suddenly found out that you'd gone to Australia but I think it's I love, by the way, I love you and your brother. I love the relationship. You guys are close enough to move out there together, and you're really a team, the way you do. You even speak as you're saying we. You're talking about you and your brother, right? When you talk about this.
Yeah. It's always about me and him. Yeah.
It's so great.
Without him, like I wouldn't be here. Like to be honest, like because he handles everything and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm only the face of the brand, right? Because I have to be. I'm the comedian. I'm the one who's making the jokes.
What you're saying, you're the hot one.
Yeah. I'm the sexy mixy one. Sexy mixy. Come on. But like honestly, it's a dynamic duo. It's like without him, I'm going nowhere, and vice versa. To be honest, so it's like a very strong duo because it's someone you can trust as well. That's like that already beats out 95% of people in this industry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's rare. It's rare to have this.
Yeah.
And so it's like why not double down on it?
Yeah.
It's like it would be as stupid.
Doesn't Russell Peters, isn't that he's with his brother's involved too,
his
right?
older brother too. It's literally the exact same age difference. It's so crazy. Like and Clayton, his brother, is just like my brother. It's really weird. I think it's almost like I don't know. We're like the second coming of Russell Peters in a way, but hopefully bigger and better. But all out of love.
It's great to talk to you, man. Good luck out there, and I hope we hear from you soon. I certainly hope you come back before too long, and maybe if there's a chance to come out to Australia, I'd love to see you guys out there. In the meantime, for the people who are listening in Australia, they're lucky to have you there, and hopefully they'll check out your shows there.
Yeah, 100%. Would love that. I'm gonna be all in Perth all month, starting this week until February 18th, and then I'll be in Melbourne the whole year, pretty much. So you'll see me all around.
Cheers, brother. Enjoy yourself. Hi to your family, and give us. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what you come up with in Australia.
Thank you very much, Azizam. Thank you very much.
Oh, I thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I'll see you later. Okay, no problem. Okay.
Khodafis.
Khodafis.
He's great, man. Neema Nazeri, wishing you the best over there in Australia with your bro. This is Full Time for Rook for today. For all things Rook related, all our past episodes, our videos, our funnies, our different programs, and tickets to Rook Live in Aurora, go to rookmedia.com. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together: Super Parisa, Smart Pega, Savvy Roham, Bearded Omi, Talented Anahita, Methodical Kaveh, and Resonant Raha. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. Do subscribe if you've not done so already. Find me on Instagram at Jian Ghomeshi. Mizumbashi.